Hi folks, Captain Mike here from Salty Cape. I'm here with Captain Cullen Lundholm from Cape Star Charters. We're fishing the rips off Monomoy for striped bass, keyed in on squid. We're fishing the rips here, stem the tide, fishing with the Hogy charter grade squid lure. Cullen, this is one of your go-to spring spots.
Yeah, very good, and the fish just started to show up here, so it should only get better from here. There's a couple birds picking, but not a ton of life around right now, so we're just trying to move to an area, get away from everyone, and find little pockets of fish, and once we find them, we can kind of stem the tide in that area. We're making sure we're not drifting back over the rip very often, so we're not blowing the fish out of our little pocket, so to speak, where we're fishing. We're just staying up in the front of them and just getting lures back and presenting them in front of them, and having pretty good success this morning.
So the way you're doing that is you're just keeping the boat in gear just fast, just with enough forward throttle to stay same distance front of the rip.
Yeah, you just had one on your plug right there.
Oh, nice. And so you hook a fish, you're going to bring the fish to you, unless maybe it's a bigger fish, in which case you're going to drift back down on the fish.
Yeah, just my thought process is why, you know, those fish are sitting in shallow water, so why drift over them with the engines running unless we have to, you know? If we have a big fish and we're wearing them down, then we'll take it out of gear and do that, but I like to stay up in front of them.
The less traffic over the fish, the hungrier they're going to stay.
The better, in my opinion, yeah.
So here's the lure we're using today. It's the Hogy charter grade squid, and we're casting this right back into the rip. And the stripers have been, hanging in the second or third wave. As you can see, it's a very natural squid imitation. To fish these off Monomoy with the charter grade squid lure, I have the floating version. As you can see, I've cast it back into the rip. Just going to twitch that rod, make that squid lure dance and dart, sort of ride in front of a wave. The second, third, or even first wave is going to simulate a fleeing squid. Oh, there we go. Doubled up. And on a foggy day like today, you may not have seen the hook set or the lure working, but it's just going to skip and dance and dart right on the surface. This is the floating version, which is a lot of fun because you get to watch a lot of the hits, but it's also very effective because it looks like a fleeing squid that may draw that reaction strike. I haven't noticed a lot of bait today. There's very few birds. There's obviously something here holding these fish. They're newly arrived to this particular area, and there's a few bigger fish mixed in. There's also a number of smaller fish. And the beauty of these plugs over, say, a more traditional soft plastic in this situation is they're going to give you the durability to catch multiple smaller fish without having to put new soft plastics on the hook. So as you can see, this little guy is packing quite a punch here. We're fishing in heavy current, so your soft baits with all the action can get a little torn up. That's why we came out with these squid lures, is they're pretty much a bulletproof version of a squid. They have real natural action in the water, and so one lure can last you a whole tide. So I'm going to let this little guy back out and do it again. So one nice thing about fishing these lures in the rip, sort of, I'm going to dub this Chatham style, just twitching the lures while you're stemming the tide and gear in front of the rip, is it's a very easy technique. So it's good technique for, if you have little kids on the boat or inexperienced anglers. So it's very, plug and play. Just about almost anybody can do this with a rod, just twitching. The fish sort of set the hook themselves. But meanwhile, it's still very interactive because you're holding the rod, you're twitching it, and whereas trolling, the boat, doing most of the work. So it's a nice, easy technique. Just about anybody can do it. These lures are, very durable, relatively inexpensive, and it's just a nice, happy, easy way to fish for stripers in the rip. Oh, there we go, tight. This feels like a decent fish, but on the strong currents here, sometimes it's hard to tell. Just need to be patient with the fish. I got this fish turned. It took some line.
Mike, I think you got a good fish on here. I think we're going to just pull back and drift back to the rip, try to land them so we don't smoke them here.
So we're going to drift down on this fish in the rip. Having a hard time pulling him out of the current. We don't want to burn this fish out. We're releasing our fish today. It's not a huge fish, but these fish have some shoulders today. And chunky fish here in the rips in Monomoy. They're these big shoulders. When they get down tied, sometimes you got to drift back with the fish, so you can land them quickly without burning them out too much. But that's the name of the game: is twitch that plug in the rips. And beautiful springtime stripers feeding on squid. Very interactive, very fun fishing. So let's get this fish back in the water and do it again.